Folks, we are waist deep in it now. This is real, this is here, and this is something that we're dealing with. All different businesses across the country, everyone is dealing with it, and you know, I happen to be in a business that everybody is interested in hearing about it, and that is the business of real estate. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Anthony Lamacchia, and I am broker owner of Lamacchia Realty. What I'd like to do first is give you guys an update on what we've seen over the last week, what we're seeing now, and then what I expect over the next couple of weeks. I've spent the last 2 days talking to our company, talking to our realtors. We're tracking all different kinds of things, some of which we track all the time, and some we just started tracking in the last few days because we want to compare and see what's going to happen on the market, because we do expect to see some changes. So first thing that I want to do is let's look at the data. Here we have a spreadsheet that we've been using for 10 years. Every single Monday we track, if you look at these columns, you can see right here the amount of properties listed every Monday. The amount of properties listed the prior week, the prior 7 days. 2,497 in the last 7 days from Saturday night back. The week before was, 2,400. The week before was 2,490. Week before was 2,151. So you can see it's still trending up. Then we go to properties, see how it says properties UAG? That's essentially pending properties, properties that have accepted an offer. So again, no interruptions so far. It's increasing as it should normally for this time of year. Then you look at properties sold, 866. If you go over here, this is something extremely important that I watch each and every week, and you can see every week there's a different percentage, and we are in the time of year that it is constantly climbing. It is still climbing, as you can see. That 19.5% is the percentage of properties that an offer was accepted on. Remember when I was over here talking about properties UAG, percentage of properties that are listed and what percentage of those go under contract. You can see that from this past Saturday night to the prior Sunday morning, an exact 7-day snapshot, we had 19% of properties go under contract, which is a continuous increase. More properties were listed. That is on par with what we normally see at this time of year. However, I do expect it to change a little bit. One more thing I want to show you, sorry I should have been more clear, is properties canceled. This is another metric. This is one of those reports that we just started in the, today, because we wanted to see what's changed in the market. If you look here, the first 14 days of March 2019, there were 299 listings that were canceled off the market. If we look at the first 14 days this March, 233. So there's actually less properties that have been canceled off the market this March so far than last March. If I remember right, I think we had a snowstorm last year. Now, I'm willing to bet that if I look at this in a week, it's going to be different. And that's what I want to talk to you about for a little bit. Part of the reason that we're not seeing a huge change right now is we are in the highest demand time of year. This is the #1 time of year that buyers are out in droves looking to buy properties, and the #1 time of year that sellers are calling every realtor they know to say, I either want to go on the market now or I want to go on in a month or something like that. This is the time of year. If this was fall, I think we would be seeing some of these statistics fall off a cliff. And the only reason we're not seeing that is the time of year. But I will tell you, I do expect to see some changes. Now, another thing I want to talk to you about is interest rates. As of right now, interest rates for a 30-year fixed is about 3.5%. 1 week ago today, it was like 3.1, 3.2, 3.25. So rates actually went up a little bit. Why did that happen? Everyone is all confused about interest rates, especially since yesterday on Sunday when the Federal Reserve stepped in and they did three different things, but two related to mortgages, somewhat related to mortgages and to borrowing. #1, they lowered their, what they call their federal funds rate. That is a short-term rate. That is not directly tied to mortgage rates. So I've heard even this morning, there's a lot of people saying, wait a minute, I can get a 0% mortgage? No, you cannot. That's not how it works. That is the short-term rate where the Federal Reserve loans to banks, and then banks take the money and loan it to us consumers. The reason they're lowering it is they're trying to spur the economy. There was another action that the Fed took last night, though, and that was to buy mortgage-backed securities. They bought over $200 billion worth of mortgage-backed securities. The reason they did that, remember last week, about a week ago, and about 10 days ago, when I talked to you all about how rates went down so fast, and they went to a level lower than they've ever been in history. Because of that, everybody was calling to refinance, and it created capacity issues. So just like in any other business, and supply and demand always comes into play, okay? There are so many mortgages that have gotten locked in the last couple of weeks that the secondary market, Fannie, Freddie, FHA, all those players that buy, and there's many private players that buy mortgage-backed securities are like, we can't buy anymore. We need a day to breathe here. That's exactly why we're not seeing rates go down as much as they should since yesterday. Part of the reason they spiked last week was investors not only stopped investing in the stock market, but investors also stopped investing in bonds. I know I'm getting a little deep here, I'm getting into the weeds, but I'm trying to give you all, you buyers, you sellers, you realtor friends, additional education on why these kinds of things are happening. Bottom line, rates are at 3.5%. It's still an exceptionally good time to refinance or to buy a property, and bottom line, they are lower than they were 2 weeks ago. Now let's spend a minute on the stock market. Stock market, as of today, I just looked at the Wall Street Journal a little while ago. It was down, I'm going to peek right now, it was down about 2,000 points, 2,100 points, it's down right now. Okay, that is why we are starting to see signs of some buyers say, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't be buying. Every time the stock market gets screwed up, buyers do this. Now, my first advice to the majority of buyers, focus with me here, listen to what I'm going to say. The first group of you that is just, oh my God, I'm scared, I don't want to buy, the world's falling apart, you're crazy. You're making a mistake. What does Warren Buffett say? When everyone else is scared, be greedy. Right now, there's a lot of scared people, that's the time to be greedy. When everyone else is being greedy, be scared and pull back. So basically what all of you buyers do every spring is everybody gets greedy at once, and then you all compete with each other, and that's why homes sell for over asking price, and there's bidding wars and all kinds of things like that. So right now, a Warren Buffett of the world, a Kyle Icahn of the world for my news and economic friends, they're out buying, right? If you are in a position where maybe you're getting laid off, or you might get laid off, that is a legitimate reason for pause, a legitimate reason to say, wait a second, if I get laid off, will I be able to afford this home? Well, there's a few things that I would ask myself if I was in your shoes. If you are currently paying rent and your new mortgage is not going to be that much different than your rent, then probably a good idea to go ahead and buy the home. If you lose your job prior to your mortgage contingency expiring, you will be able to use that mortgage contingency to get out. If you need a mortgage contingency extension closer to the closing date, speak to your attorney, speak to your realtor, and make sure to negotiate that to properly protect yourself. But just bailing out to bail out, I frankly think is crazy. We are dealing with a very unusual time. We are dealing with a stock market that is hurt for health reasons, not because the economy is falling apart. Unemployment is lower than it's ever been. The jobs report 2 Fridays ago was the best it's been in a while, especially for winter, which tends to be lower job reports. And the economy as a whole is strong, but right now everyone's a bit freaked out. It is probably fair to say in Q1 there won't be growth in the economy because of the month of March, but that doesn't mean our entire economy is going to collapse. I am in the camp of someone that does not believe that's going to happen. So if I was a home buyer, I would hesitate before you're too quick to bail out. But if you do get laid off and you can't afford to buy the home you're buying now that you're laid off, by all means tell your realtor, tell your lawyer, and get out. Who cares what people think? You need to protect yourself, and our realtor friends should be doing what they can to protect their buyers. Now, sellers. I want to talk to you sellers for a few minutes. We're seeing some sellers, smaller percentage of sellers than I expected, but we're seeing some sellers say, you know what, take my home off the market, or delay putting my home on the market because I'm very concerned about the coronavirus. I don't want people coming in my home. Well, my answer to you is, if you feel unsafe having strangers come into your home during this time, I can understand that. That's certainly understandable. But if you look at the statistics, so far, the canceled rate is actually slower than last March. Again, I think we had a snowstorm early last March, and I think that's part of the reason. But so far, we're not seeing a big pullback there. I will tell you, sellers, even though I always beat the drum every year of February and March is the best time to list your home, I will tell you, if you pull your home off the market for 2 to 3 weeks, temporarily withdraw it or delay 2 to 3 weeks, I do not think you will be harmed. I have to be honest with you, I don't think you will be. I don't think you're going to miss out on the demand of buyers, because buyer demand is so high right now. Like, let's say right now there's literally 50 buyers for every seller, okay? Well, if every seller goes down a little and every buyer goes down a little, we're not in that much of a different position. There's still going to be bidding wars, and that percentage of buyers that go to the sidelines, it's going to be temporary. As soon as things get back to normal, which I hope is soon, you know, the sense of normalcy and the sense of when people are, you know, able to go out to restaurants and easily go to work and kids can go to school. Once that clicks back in, we will see pent-up demand take off like crazy. I've seen this show before. I remember February 2015 with all the snow that we had. I remember we had 92 inches of snow in 22 days. It was amazing, okay? That time, the real estate market literally shut off. It is by far the slowest I've ever seen the real estate market. Right now isn't even close to that, because right now it hasn't slowed down yet, folks. It is still very, very busy. We're just seeing, I shouldn't say just seeing signs, we were seeing signs a week ago. Now we're seeing some people actually take action. Some buyers say, I'm gonna hold off. Some sellers say, get my home off the market. But again, demand is so high at this time of year, even if it goes down 20% or 30%, we're not going to see that big of a change. Statistically speaking, I think we'll notice a little bit in our numbers next week, but I don't think it'll be enormous. I just want to warn you though, once things start to get back to normal in 2 to 3 weeks, I hope, right? We all hope it's that fast. There will be pent-up demand, and I mean, people are going to get cabin fever like they've never had it. People are going to be cooped up like they've never been, and as soon as things get back to normal, pent-up demand will be insane. So have that in mind. But again, for sellers, I do not think that you will be hurt if you delay 2 or 3 weeks. I don't think it's the end of the world. Let me move on to some other issues. We are going to see closing delays. The First American Title put out a great document showing what registries are closed and which ones are allowing electronic recordings and which ones are not. Right now, every registry in the state, except for the one most local to us, Middlesex South and Cambridge, is not allowing electronic closings. Well, I will tell you that I don't think that'll last. They are going to make a change. I'm sure they're on top of it. I don't have any inside information on that, but I will tell you, I do not think we can go the next 2 weeks with them being the only registry that will not allow electronic closings to happen. As far as another item for closings, there is talk about the governor potentially signing a bill to allow for electronic closings as a whole so that things can get e-filed over the next couple of weeks. Here's my opinion on that. If this goes on more than 2 weeks, the governor will end up in a position where he'll have to. You cannot completely shut down commerce in a society. You can't have people not able to buy, not able to sell. It's going to really put people's backs against the wall. So I think that if things go back to normal in the next couple of weeks, I'm not convinced that that bill will pass, but if it goes on longer, I think it will. As of right now, some registries are allowing electronic closings, but remember, with closings, there's also notaries involved and many other things, and some of those details is what is on the governor's desk. I don't want to get into the weeds on it. Bottom line, we are going to see closing delays. If you are a realtor, if you are a buyer, if you are a seller, let's all be reasonable. Let's work together. Let's set proper expectations. Let's give one another a heads up when there's going to be a closing delay. Another reason that we're going to see closing delays is right now, some fire departments are saying no fire inspections, no smoke certificates being issued because it's non-essential. I heard a little while ago that that was happening down in Fall River. I also heard of some other cities and towns here and there that that's happening. I wouldn't be surprised if fire departments for a week or two said, hey, we've got enough headaches to deal with right now, we're not doing smoke inspections. Again, a week or two. That is another item that I do not believe can go on very much longer than that, because the ripple effect and the financial impact to people is going to be substantial if this goes on too long. Open houses. I want to talk to you about those for a couple minutes, and I've been thinking hard about this for a week, trying to think, what should my advice be? Are doing open houses, is it a smart thing to do? Is it not? I will tell you this. There were 3,400 open houses across Massachusetts over the weekend. And probably there were more, but those are the ones that were in MLS. We saw them increase nonstop from 2,200 to 2,400 to 2,700 to 3,000. You get to Saturday morning, 3,200, 3,400. That's a lot of open houses. Some people say open houses are dangerous, stick with private showings. I've gone a little bit back and forth, but as of yesterday, I decided that my recommendation as a real estate professional, as someone who's been doing this a long time, I think open houses are smarter than private showings, so long as the traffic is controlled. There were open houses yesterday that there were 40, 50, 60, 80, 100 groups of people at. Yes, that is my point about buyer demand. There's a tremendous amount of buyers out there. I think that a seller is going to come home once and do a better job cleaning their house than they would if there was numerous private showings. Let's say you put a home on the market and you say no open houses. Well, at this time of year, if you say no open houses, you're going to have private showings off the charts. You're going to have private showings at 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., next morning. It's impossible for a seller to come home after every single one of those showings and clean their home. It's just not going to happen at the same rate that it would as once. Realtors, if you can get your hands on sanitizing wipes, alcohol, swabs, Lysol, let's all do our part and make sure we're cleaning doorknobs, cleaning railings, cleaning doors, cleaning countertops. Let's make sure, kitchen tables, that we're helping people's homes be clean. And then when they get home, they do the same thing, just so we make sure to abide by what our government is recommending, which is basically decrease the amount of social engagement. It's quite interesting to me that they're saying that. They're not saying everybody has to stay home, but they're saying we have to be careful, and then we had endless amounts of people out at open houses. So it goes to show that the demand to buy is very, very strong. Again, let me do a little bit of a recap here. What do I expect in the next week? I think we're going to see both sides, buyers and sellers, take it down a notch or two. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a decrease in demand of 20, upwards of 30%, but I don't think it'll go much beyond that. And if it does, then it does. The safety and the well-being of everyone is far more important than selling homes. But that's my prediction on what we will see. There's a lot of home sellers that need to sell for certain reasons. There's a lot of home buyers that need to sell for certain reasons. Their lease is expiring and different things like that. So we will update you throughout this. I will probably be back to you later this week or at the latest early next week with a whole bunch of updates. I'll go over statistics again. I will talk about where the market's at. I will talk about what I expect. But my prediction is probably a 20 or at the most a 30% reduction in demand. The biggest thing I think we're going to see in the real estate industry is closing delays right now because of fire departments and because of registries being closed. But remember what I said in my last video, we're also going to see that in April and May because there's going to be a logjam in the whole supply chain of mortgage brokers, attorneys, title examiners, title companies, appraisers, because of all the refinancing going on. So we're in an unusual time right now, but my friends, make no mistake about it, we will get through it. The real estate market is not going to fall off a cliff. There is no reason for that to happen. When you look at what happened in '08, we had a credit crisis, we had a real estate crisis, we had an employment crisis. There was about 19 different things going on that was making the economy go down. Right now, we have a health crisis. And a health crisis is causing a lot of fear, anxiety, some of it rightfully so, and that's what's affecting the stock market. But I have no doubt in my mind we will get through this. If you have other questions, do us a favor, put your questions, put your comments. If you disagree with some of what I said, if you agree, go ahead and comment. We welcome your comments either way. We want to be here for our buyers, our sellers, tenants, landlords, along with our realtor friends. So put some comments and I'll be back to you soon. Take care, my friends. Have a good week. Stay safe.